Hi, this is Philip Potempa, and welcome to another podcast broadcast of Notoriety. And of course, it's the broadcast equivalent of all of the feature stories and columns that you read in print editions of the Post-Tribune, as well as some of the other Chicago Tribune media products, and also captured at chicagotribune.com. Coming to you live from the studios here at WJOB in Hammond. And each week we bring you the latest in ticket opportunities, events, and any highlights you don't want to miss Northwest Indiana, Chicagoland, and beyond. So we're so glad that you're tuned in and joining us here. And of course, some of you might be tuned in not just through the traditional broadcast airwaves, but also through the magic of Facebook Live. So you're getting a glimpse of everything that's happening here in the studio, and it's very, very exciting here. We are all ready for not just Valentine's Week, but something else that happens very special for this February of 2020. Munster's Got Talent. It is really kind of our chance to tap into the stars of tomorrow today, and it's the youths from gathered in the classrooms of the Munster Community Schools in the spotlight. Last year was the inaugural year, and I was proud to be a part of it as one of the panel of judges, and I'm returning for that capacity again February the 25th, 7 p.m. It's also hosted through Theater at the Center for Visual and Performing Arts, and that's right here in Munster, Indiana. Again, the top talent has already been selected in our first round. We're going to hear more about who those finalists are and what to expect from talent, and that's going to happen a little bit later in our show. But first, we're joined right here at the desk for the really special interview and also a little performance tease from the winner of last year for the inaugural year of Munster's Got Talent, Zoe O'Shaughnessy. Thank you so much for being a part of our program today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's certainly it's a pleasure. We don't get to chat enough. Only once in a while we're getting to chat when I'm trying to keep up with all the things that you're doing in the performance world. So the fact that we have you here, and also we're going to let our listeners or perhaps viewers have just a little bit of a taste of the talent that you were spotlighting last year, and will return again on February the 25th, just as a kind of bonus to let folks know exactly what it was that rose to the top of the selection process with our judges to give you those honors and awards last year. Her talent is harpist. It's just not something that you will often hear about. So to have the opportunity to have somebody with such a talent and such training is really, really, again, a special opportunity to share with our listeners or perhaps its viewers. So tell us first of all a little bit about you're a senior at Munster High School, so you're getting very close to graduation. When you first tapped into this talent, and why the harp? It could have been anything. It could have been something much smaller. Your mom and dad, your mom, dear friend, Tamara, certainly is a good sport, as his dad, to help you be kind of facilitating this musical dream. So tell us how it started.
So it started when I was around 4. I was dragged to Columbus, Ohio for my sister and brother's Irish dance regionals. At the time, I was a little bit too young to compete, so my parents tried to find something for me to do. So they dragged me to this children's museum where the first exhibit was a laser stringed harp, where if you just plucked it, just made sound. And that was the only thing I wanted to see. And so that sparked my curiosity of the harp. It took us a few years to find a teacher just because at the time there were hardly any teachers around here, but we finally found one when I was around 7, and that's when I started lessons.
And again, I think about in my youth, and I am far more advanced age than what you are, and I think of somebody who's a famous harpist, and I think, well, there, in orchestras, there's always, very, very few because it's a very specialized sound that they're looking for. But I think of Marx Brothers movies, and I think of Harpo Marx, or I think of I Love Lucy, that Desi Arnaz had his own real-life orchestra, and there was always Nancy the harpist. It's just not something that you often find because, again, it is a commitment, and it is an investment, but it's also such a unique talent. And I always think of, speaking of I Love Lucy and Harpo Marx in an episode when he played, of all songs, Take Me Out to the Ball Game. But it takes you to a whole different dimension when it's played on the harp. And was it the sound also that drew you because it was so unique?
Yeah, it just reminded me, like the stereotypical of angels in heaven. Like that was the first thing I thought of when I touched it.
And so there's no backstory where Zoe's going to say, well, my grandmother played it, my great-grandmother. No, you're a pioneer for this musical profession, and it is really a profession. I know that she's a high school student, but Munster's Got Talent is putting the spotlight on those folks that are perhaps going to then follow that dream on to what's the next level. And boy, you're already doing that, and we're going to have you at the Performing Arts Center for other events and things. We'll talk a little more about that, but you do a lot of also opportunities in other cities, in Chicago, and you're booked also for other types of events, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And again, to have that repertoire, how many different songs would you say that is a part of your catalog that you are able to probably do right now?
Right now, maybe 10 to 15.
Which is really that's quite an impressive library when you think of remembering exactly each of the strings. For the most part, in playing it, does it flow so nicely that if for some reason there is just a slip, that usually it's seamless and it's our no. If there is a sour note, you're going to know it because there's only so many notes that are coming through.
I think most of the time I will know just because I'm such a perfectionist and I know where
Hmm.
everything is. But if to the listener, unless you have like a musical background, you usually can't tell. Unless so let's say like a pedal slips, that's how we change our notes. If that slips, you can totally tell because it makes like this loud buzzing
Hmm.
sound. But if you just play just a wrong note, you usually can't tell because it all sounds pretty amazing.
And again, if you're just tuned in, and I'm your host, Philip Potempa, we have a very special guest here at our WJOB studios. We have Zoe O'Shaughnessy. She is the inaugural winner for the 2019 Munster's Got Talent, and she's the one that, again, was in the spotlight when we were coming right down to the very, very finalists. She's the one that rose to the top, and she's sharing a little bit of her story today because Munster's Got Talent Year two is just around the corner. It's February the 25th. It's at the Center for Visual and Performing Arts right on the Theater Center stage. Last year was a jam-packed house, so tickets are on sale right now. 7 o'clock, you want to make sure that you come out and you're a part of the excitement. Doesn't matter. You can be from any school. You can be from any community in the area. Come out and see what this is like, and it might be an inspiration or a launching platform to think, well, we should be doing the same thing at our church, our school, but you should come out and also support what is a great cause because it's the Munster Band Boosters that are the ones that are our hosts and sponsoring organization that will benefit from this. So it helps a great cause besides the fact that it's a platform and springboard for so many careers that are being launched. And as one of the judges last year, and I'll be returning for this year on that panel as well, there was, of course, our harpist. There were other musicians. I believe we had somebody on the piano. There were dancers, a number of different talents. We're going to hear more about what is on the roster for this year coming up in the second part of the show. But what I'm really looking forward to, and Zoe's being so kind, will you give us a little taste, a little performance so that our listeners can hear the melodic strumming of a harp? And I'm not even clear what the piece is. I want to be surprised. So do you want to tell us what the name of this piece is?
It's called Sonatina by Sergei Natra. He is an Israeli composer.
Mm-hmm.
It was made in the 1960s, which is kind of really modern for the harp since we haven't had that much music. He wrote it for the Israeli harp competition, which is the hardest harp competition that any harpist
Mm-hmm.
can participate in. And that competition and like USA International Harp Competition, they like to promote new music for the harp, so they always have a competition, and whoever wins like gets to tour the
Ah,
world with their piece.
phenomenal. And I know I've been teased that this is a very fun piece. So you're allowed to remove your headset, and I'll let you go to your bench position. And we're going to hear again Zoe O'Shaughnessy, if you're tuned in on our WJOB airwaves at the harp. And if you're tuned into the magic of Facebook Live, you're going to get to see this and you can watch it over and over again. So I turn the attention to Zoe. That is so incredible. So I can just feel my blood pumping and pounding. And how long for you to get that piece down, Zoe? I'm just curious because, again, it has got so many movements and quick changes. How long would you say for you to get that piece down?
I started around October, so just a few months.
Wow, that is just incredible. And of course, for our viewers and our listeners, what you just heard, Zoe O'Shaughnessy, our winner for the 2019 Munster's Got Talent. She's returning to the stage at the Theater Center, and she will be a part of, at least that evening, February the 25th, when it's round two, year two for Munster's Got Talent, and we'll be selecting a brand new crop of our promising young stars of tomorrow, selected today, and audiences will be there for an ovation. And this is what you have to look forward to, and it's just such an incredible performance. And again, we know those judges' decisions were right on the mark. Joining us at the desk is all because we want to hear more of the details and a little bit more of the tease. And I mentioned that it's the Munster band boosters that are a part of this organization, so it takes quite a committee to bring all this together. So joining us, we have Stacy. And Stacy, introduce yourself, and then also we're going to get the young as well to give us an introduction. So thank you for joining us here at the desk. Stacy, this is, go ahead.
That supports the Munster High School Band, Middleland High School Bands.
So wonderful. And also joined by?
Dejan Ilievsky. Thanks for having us, Phil. And I'm on the sponsorship committee of the Munster Band Backers.
Yes, and again, it's such a large group and a coordinating task. One of the favorite features of that night, there's always a souvenir program. And I know you've been working very hard on it, so that's kind of the guide to the evening that has all of the finalists, which one round has already happened, right? So it's been whittled down, and I'm not sure what we're allowed to say, what we're going to give away. I know I'm doing a full column for the Post-Tribune about this as well, but do we have do we have names, or do we have just what some of the talents are? You tell me. What can we reveal? It's on your side of the desk.
The names will officially be published. I don't want to give anything away yet. We do have
musicians again.
We have many musicians. We have 2 dance acts. Many vocal soloists.
Wonderful.
I think we have 8 vocal soloists and 1 band and a drum solo.
Fantastic.
So that ought to be interesting.
That's a lot of variety, which is so key. And boy, that evening moves quick, does it not? It goes very quickly. And I know from the contestants' point of view, maybe not, because you're probably a little nervous waiting to go on. But is there a lot of camaraderie, Zoe? Also backstage, everybody cheering each other on and supportive?
Yeah. So backstage, you could hear from the intercom of like all the people who went on, and so whenever they come back, we like last year, we all get like a round of applause.
That's right. There's a kind of a holding area. There's a green room, dressing rooms, and then they have a speaker so you can hear everything that's happening. So you kind of know when somebody's leaving the stage or taking the stage. And for anybody that's listening to this, I mentioned again the magic date, which is February the 25th, and then how to get tickets. Of course, you can always come right to the box office at Theater at the Center, or you can call. That's 219-836-3255. It's right there front and center on the website, www. And that's theater with the RE at thecenter.com. You can get tickets that way. How about if somebody knows somebody in Band Boosters or through the schools? Can there be tickets getting also secured that way?
So we do have a website. It's supportmunsterband.org. And on that website, we have a link to the Theater at the Center. So people visiting that website can actually click on the link and buy tickets from there.
And it's no small-scale show performance. I really was so impressed last year. It's a full panel of judges. Linda Fortunato, I know from the Theater at the Center, is very excited. She sees so much talent that happens on that stage. We have a couple of returning judges. But again, it's these performances, and then the audience is there. There's this energy in the room. And then at the end of the night, crowning winners and also prizes to go all around, and just a very collaborative effort and helping such a great cause. Last year, I remember when I was putting it in my columns, it was band uniforms that we were shooting for. Still working towards that? Or no, there's so many other areas that also this money can be used for?
There's so many areas.
Sure.
The band backers, we raise the money for the marching show every year, which can cost upward around $70,000 or $80,000 a year that we have to raise. So surely it'll go towards that. We're currently in need of a new trailer. Our trailer is well over 30 years old, and so we're trying to raise above and beyond that $70,000 in order to purchase a new trailer. Many costs go into the band program. Instrument repairs, buying new instruments. Last year we were able to purchase new tubas thanks to our wonderful donors, and replace some very outdated, very old indented tubas. We currently have Dan chairing the Support Munster Band, our sponsorship committee, so we're always looking for sponsors to help with those costs.
And it's not too late, right? You're more than happy to take a phone call or take a check. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. And again, the best way to get in touch with us is through the website, supportmunsterband.org. And I also like to say that our kids compete every year for the top spots in the marching band in Indiana. And they regularly compete against bands with twice or 3 times the budget that we have. So these are extremely talented kids. Every time they go on stage, we're just very proud of what they're able to accomplish. So it would be great for us to be able to continue supporting them in this way, because they deserve everything that we could do.
And again, the Theater Center for Visual and Performing Arts in Munster, it's February 25th. That's about a 410-seat capacity. And last year, it was pretty full to the brim. So you want to make sure we get tickets right away. Cost of the tickets this year, do you remember? It's a very affordable ticket, isn't it?
It's $20 adult.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
$10
for the
student.
student.
I believe.
It's a very affordable ticket for a night of what is true entertainment, and a lot of intrigue and excitement on the edge of the seats to see who is going to be crowned and rise to the top. And I always think, oh, I wonder if this year maybe there'll be somebody who is going to throw us a curveball. Maybe there'll be somebody doing stand-up comedy or maybe a ventriloquist. It hasn't happened yet, but we're hoping that this is the start of a tradition that continues. And again, if you're somebody who's at a church or a school and you think, I wonder what this is all about, come out, buy your ticket, support a great cause, see how this unfolds. You both make it look so easy as part of that committee, and I know there are so many other folks. We have our principals and Linda, and so many other people that make it come, to be the reality that it is. And it kind of feels a little bit like a reality show, doesn't it? Because it's all unfolding right before our very eyes in real time, right?
Yep. And it's a wonderful opportunity for those children past elementary school, because we don't have talent shows past elementary school.
Sure.
And this is a way for those kids to showcase their talents when, normally they wouldn't have anything.
And growing up, that was such a staple. It was every year at high school, there would always be a talent show or a variety show, or many communities, if there was a festival, there would be, again, a talent show at the high school stage. You don't hear that so much because I know in today's world of technology and phones that so many things unfold right there that you don't feel like you have to be. But there's something, again, about that community feeling of being in a shared space and seeing that talent. And again, I know parents are always on the edge of their seat because they're right down in front making sure. And of course, Zoe's mom is never like that. She's never biting her fingernails. She's a longtime journalist, so she's so natural and calm. But as a mom, I'm sure on the inside her heart is pounding. But Zoe, you always knock it out of the park every single time. And again, a lot of it comes from practicing as well. So that's what these students are doing right now because we're in our final weeks. They need to be practicing, preparing, getting ready. It's a lot different from just doing something in a living room or just with a few people or maybe even in your church as opposed to being in a professional theater setting. And I love that the program in the very front, it always says that the folks that have performed at Theater of the Center on that same stage are talents that have later taken home a Tony Award, an Emmy Award, an Oscar. So there's so much hardware. We just had the Oscars this last week that happened right there on that same stage. And this is how it all begins. And it starts, and I know I tease and I kid when we talked about that there wasn't other family members that played the harp, but having a supportive family and having events like this does help cultivate that talent. Is that correct?
Yes.
It makes such a difference, when you've got somebody there cheering you on and rooting. And again, and be honest, this is kind of like Las Vegas. What happens here, don't pay attention that there's all these cameras. Did mom or dad ever say, are you sure you don't want to do the flute, Zoe? It's so much smaller and it's easy. Or no? They
always joke about it, because it's just so heavy.
It is.
So it would be nice to play a flute, but it's not as pretty.
and I know, I promised I was going to say this earlier, and I just wanted to circle back to this. So we're going to have Zoe at the Munster's Got Talent, February the 25th, so she'll be back, so you'll get to see a little more of her performance talent. I have her coming for the big opening night. Theater. The Center has Almost Heaven, Salute to John Denver review, and Zoe has said, yes, I would be happy to perform at the intermission and also be at the opening night cast party. But also, it's kind of your home away from home. If somebody's listening out there and you're thinking, where do you find a harpist for a baby shower, a bridal shower, a wedding, a special event? Your schedule's tight, but if you're available, you'll do such bookings, correct?
Yes. I'm always looking, but people need to reach out and everything. So it's always nice to play for those special events because it's just so special.
Mm-hmm. And of course, it's a part of a lasting memory. And you heard just a sample is you can always contact, of course, myself through my column, or you can always call the Theater at the Center or the Center for Visual and Performing Arts and Dining Events, and we're happy to connect to Zoe. I'm sure there's also an opportunity to find you either on a Facebook or just Google because she's had so much attention. But just get in touch with me and we'll be happy to send you your way to have her as a part of your special event and special occasion. And if given enough time, if somebody's out there that's a bride or somebody that's got a baby shower or birthday and they say, but I wonder if she can play, given enough time, if you get the music and it's music that is based for harp, you can learn it, right?
Yeah, totally. Even if it's not based for harp, I like to dabble in arranging pop songs for harp, so I can usually do whatever songs anybody wants.
That's so wonderful. Now, this is a complete live moment that's going to unfold right here, just like a Larry King Live or Joan Rivers moment. We've not rehearsed this. I've not mentioned it before, but I'm going to ask Zoe this on the spot. Of all the songs she mentioned, about 15 to 16, do you happen to know Happy Birthday, or no, that's not one that you know?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It takes a while just because, I'm not a musician who can really do something by ear.
But so do you know a little of Happy Birthday? A little, not really, not really at all.
really.
I don't know if the rest of our desk knows this, but it's Alice Cannon's birthday today, and Alice is such a big part of this event.
Absolutely.
And I thought, well, maybe
She's
we
the
could
brains behind it.
serenade her with a little happy birthday on the harp. But
And I
we
think
at
she's
least
watching right now.
we
I
know
bet
she's
she
going to be
is.
watching. We know she's watching, but we don't want to. Since it's supposed to be a birthday gift, I don't want to sing, so we're not
Yeah,
going
I
to sing to her. But our heart is out right there with you, and this is something that maybe that Zoe's going to have in her repertoire that she's going to learn coming in the future, because a few strums and it can certainly work. Is there any other certain things that if somebody is, again, thinking about giving back to the band program, so often at the Theater of the Center, and of course the Northwest Indiana Orchestra is housed there as well, we'll get people to say, I have an instrument or this or that. Does the band ever sometimes take a donation where they might need an instrument, or no, you have plenty and sort of just don't bring your instruments to the band boosters or anything like that?
It would depend on the instrument.
Mhm.
Some instruments are, an elementary quality, and they're not made for a marching band or a concert band performance. But definitely they could contact us at munsterbandbackers@gmail.com, and if they do have something to donate, we would be happy to speak with them about it.
And I know we were teasing earlier about the harp, but an instrument is really, it truly is a very personal piece, isn't it? And the harp is, but if it's something that's a wind instrument, that's such a personal thing, because of course you have your own specialized reed and your own piece, but I know there's also quite an investment that comes with all of these instruments, so they're like a member of the family, right?
Yeah,
You
they
take
are.
care, very, very, very careful care. And for something like this, does there need to be a certain type of oil, or do you have to do something that the strings, or what type of maintenance would an instrument such as the harp require? I'm curious, Zoe.
So the strings, usually they break by themselves and then you replace them with gut strings.
Mhm.
But to like regulate it, you need to go to a special factory. And you need to do that every like a year and a half or every 2 years, just so that like the pedals, since it's all just metal, they can get rusty, or like the felt that keeps the pedals in, if they start to tear away, they need to get fixed. So that happens every 2 years. And also when you regulate it, it also helps keep the instrument in tune. So you need to do that every so often.
Excellent. I knew that there was a certain amount of care and commitment that would come with any type of an instrument. Speaking of which, also for that big day on February 25th for this to the 2020 Munster's Got Talent, we encourage people to come a little bit early, right? Because there's refreshments. I think I want to say the bar is going to be open. And also there's vendor tables, correct, as well?
Correct. This year we're going to do a little bit different. The vendor tables will be there before the show, but we will also have them out at intermission.
Okay, so that
People
big
to
common
visit.
atrium area right there, you'll be able to browse and again, just spend some time and root on and cheer anyone that either you might know or maybe you're going to find out about with talent, because this is going to be their chance for claim to fame. And I'm sure we'll have returning talents right here at this desk as well a year from now. So one more time in review, it's Munster's Got Talent. We're so blessed today to have Zoe O'Shaughnessy join us here in studio to give us that bit of a performance, and she'll be there as well as sort of a bonus performance for the 2020 Munster's Got Talent. It's February the 25th, 7 p.m., but come early because you can browse vendors. There'll be refreshments, maybe a libation right there in the atrium, Center for Visual and Performing Arts in Munster, and a very, very affordable ticket for such a range of talent, which again, we're about to announce what those names are going to be. I know I'll have in my column, but anything from bands, musicians, vocalists, it's an entire range, and of course the dance troops as well. Right there on stage, Center for Visual and Performing Arts, 1040 Ridge Road, Theater at the Center. A ticket price of $25 or $20, or a student price of $10, and you can get them in advance, but also sold that day at the door at the box office. Is that right too?
Yes, correct.
So you can walk up, but again, they fill up very quickly. So there's not a bad seat. I know many of you have been already to that space. So out of 410 seats, they're all great. But come out also. Purchase the souvenir program, right? That tells all the kind folks that have been the supporters, the advertisers, and it's sort of your guide to the evening, right? All the bios of the finalists, tells you about the judges, tells you about the event, and again, all those generous supporters and the folks that have already given. Are there any names you want to toss out to give a nod or a shout out to, or is there too many to even mention, or is there a couple?
Yeah,
There's so
quite a
many.
bit.
I'll slip some of those into the column as well, so we can give a shout out and let folks know. But most of all, come out and find out for yourself. The box office number for Theater of the Center, 219-836-3255, or you can always go online and you can get your tickets very easily, www.theater, with the RE at the center, Tickets.com. Get your tickets right away for February the 25th. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me in studio. What a special show and what a special performance from a special lady. And we'll be hearing more from Zoe, I know for sure, right around the corner as well as we get along into the year 2020. I'm your host, Philip Potempa. Thank you for joining us here at WJOB for this latest edition of Notoriety. I'll be back next week. Stay tuned because coming up at the top of the hour, the latest in